Alright, I'll play along. Hi, I'm Ash, and I have 3 favourite bands: Iron Maiden, Circa Survive, and Coheed and Cambria. Now, since I have a t-shirt, a tattoo, I've seen them live, I have all their music on CD and Spotify, I think it's safe to say that I am the biggest fan, and you cannot deny it. You'll never see anyone committed enough to get the keywork on their wrist, especially as I live in Japan and this is a nightmare. So I first heard about Coheed in about 2007, and as a fan of high voices, it was just an instant love. I heard The Suffering being played in a rock club and I was just like, whoa, what is that? It just hit all the right buttons for me. Coheed have all the elements of bands I loved growing up, like Iron Maiden and Pink Floyd, and with the lyrics of some guy reading some old Star Wars comic book lore. It's fantastic. They just hit all the right spots for me personally, and it wasn't until I met a friend who said that, oh, by the way, did you know they have a comic book? Really? Yeah, and all the songs are 1 page of each comic book. Whoa. Well, it's not quite like that, but it is still a very interesting concept. A lot of bands have had, prog and themed albums, I guess, concept albums, but Coheed take it to another level, having a comic book that is directly tied to the music. I joined a fan website, back in the day. It was called Cobalt and Calcium because I was very interested in the story, and it turns out now I would definitely say that I love Coheed, but I don't love the Amory Wars. I think it's really cool and I do enjoy the story up to parts, where there is and where there isn't, but I just love the music, and today we're just focusing on the music and nothing more. So here is how I, the biggest fan, rank the albums. Number 10, Year of the Black Rainbow. Definitely last on many people's lists. To be honest, they don't have any bad albums in my opinion, but there is an album that is just okay, and it's pretty much this. It doesn't really sound the way that I like Coheed to sound. Not that it's a bad thing, Coheed are very, very progressive and are always changing up things, and I really like that about them. I respect that due to the story, this is being a prequel and quite a dark part in the story. It's very cool that they made the album sound, much darker and different, but in just terms of listening to it as music, it's not an amazing album. I really respect them, but in a selection box, this is kind of a chump. It's not bad, but I'd always choose it last over anything else. Let's check the track listing. 1, the intro is pretty anticlimactic, not a fan. The Broken and Guns of Summer are okay. Here We Are Juggernaut has a really good chorus I really like. Far is a really good driving song. This Shattered Symphony, I only really like the pre-choruses in that. But I think World of Lines and Made Out of Nothing are very underrated songs, and I quite like those quite a lot. Pearl of the Stars, now normally I can't stomach cheese and any open things of affection and things like that, but there's something about Coheed and their cheese that I just love. I eat it like a starving rat. The last 3 songs are not very good, I'm not a big fan of those, but overall it's okay. It's just a chomp among dairy milk and Cadbury buttons, isn't it? Number 9, Vaxis II, A Window of the Waking Mind. Another long title, whatever, that's Coheed. This is the latest release, and one thing I learned about myself is that I never trust my own judgment when new things come out. A lot of times a new album comes out and I think, what the hell, this is not what I was expecting, and then I don't listen to it. Then a year later I listen back to it and I'm like, oh, this is fantastic. See Foles, Total Life Forever, and this might happen with this album too. I think it's a good album, but I've been force feeding it quite a lot. The previous album, Unheavenly Creatures, has this problem too, which is something which I don't like in Coheed music, which is this, how do I explain it, like epic soaring choruses where they're just strumming and then there's a melody over the top. I'm not a fan of it. I think Coheed's much better than that. Most bands have busy verses and quite slow choruses, or very, very basic choruses, but I think Coheed is the strongest when they're the reverse of that, with like really kind of technically interesting chorus musically, and then the verses are quite plain. Let's take the essential Coheed and Cambria playlist on Spotify. None of these songs have that, except maybe Delirium Trigger, but even that has a lot of movement with the guitars and octaves and things like that. It's not bad, it's just not what I like in Coheed. Regardless, I'm always excited for new Coheed, and I respect them for trying to do something different. In no way do I just want them to remake older albums or just rest on their laurels and just say, hey, let's just keep remaking Welcome Home over and over. They've never done that, and I respect them for it. As for the songs, The Embers of Fire, I really like that. Anything with Claudio singing his heart out is fine by me. Beautiful Losers has really grown on me. When I first heard it, I was not really liking it, but it's definitely grown on me quite a lot. Comatose, really cool track. It really is like something off an older album, but I don't know, I don't love it. I like it, but maybe it's the production or something. I can't put my finger on it, but it's a good song, but not a great one. Shoulders is cool, nice riff there, but I think the chorus is quite a letdown. It is very Coheed-esque, but it's quite boring. Not a fan. A Disappearing Act seems like something they've been trying to push, well, Claudio has been trying to push the other guys to do for years, and finally he's got to do it. Since I've always been a part of Coheed, even back in the first album, and I think it's a cool song. You know, it got stuck in my head, so that's a good sign. Love Murder 1, pretty good. You know, I like the chorus. Claudio sounds really British, you know. Game's over, love. Murder 1. Nice and short too, quite like it. Blood is okay. Liars Club is decent. Bad Man is where the auto-tune pops up. So using auto-tune on people who don't need it is very interesting because, you know, it can be used like just like kind of a chorus effect, but the way that he's using it, which is quite exaggerated, it's not that, I'm not a fan of it. Our Love, I guess just a story progressor, nothing to write home about. Ladders of Supremacy is, it's so close to being a good song in my opinion. I like the intro guitars and things like that, but just the melodies are just not there. They're just not good enough. I know I'm sounding like Vince Noir from the Mighty Boosh who doesn't understand jazz and just wants simple melodies, but I think that's where Coheed does it best, when they have just cool melodies, like just back-to-back awesome melodies, and this one just doesn't cut it. Rise Nyanasha, I think is a really good song. I like the build up and the structure of it. It's a cool song. And the final track, Window of the Waking Mind, it took me a while I've been listening over it. Once again, it has all the elements of good Coheed, but it just doesn't stick to me. I'm not sure why. I guess just because I'm older, I'm not sure why, but yeah, it is fun to listen to, but it's not gripping like kind of similar songs on previous albums. It's a cool album, but it's just not really hit me where I feel like Coheed albums should. Number 8, The Unheavenly Creatures, Vaxis Part 1. This album is extremely hit or miss for me. The first 3 tracks are some of my favorite Coheeds ever. When I first heard the 2 singles, I was so excited for this album. I was like, yes, it's gonna be incredible. And it does start off incredibly. The prologue, Into Dark Sentencer, it's just amazing. And Unheavenly Creatures, just a really odd, cool song, which, you know, just great melodies in it. Then we hit Toys, which has a good chorus, but the rest of it just doesn't hit me. Black Sunday, Queen of the Dark, True Ugly, all forgettable songs in my opinion. I'm just not a fan of them. They do not click at all. I don't mind Love Protocol and The Pavilion, they're decent songs. Nighttime Walkers is much better, you know, I really like that chorus. You know, all not bad songs, but The Gutter, I'm a big fan of that song. I think it brings the album back up, you know, to like the previous first two tracks that are on there. Really good song. But then All on Fire and It Walks Among Us, I'm not a fan of those either. But I do like Old Flames and Lucky Stars. I do like most of the Coheed acoustic songs, and I think that's really just a good showcase of Claudio's voice, and just great track. Starts out really, really good and just doesn't get any better from there. Number 7 is The Color Before the Sun, an album that's not related to the Amory Wars, and to be honest with you, after this album, I like every song on every album almost. This album has one song that I don't like, so it has to be number 7. Island is a great song. There's something about Claudio saying the word girl that just gets me every time. Eraser is a really cool song, except for the second verse where like kind of questionable lyrics and melody, which I'm not a fan of. But other than that, it's a cool song. Colors I really like. Here to Mars is just another great song. Ghost, just more cool acoustic songs. Atlas, now I think Atlas is the name of Claudio's child, and I really feel that when he's singing this, he's really putting all his effort into it. It really means it. It's very moving song, and you know, you can feel his genuine emotion in it. It's really good. Young Love I really like. I mean, the guitar sounds like it's being played by someone who just learned how to play guitar or something. It's just really cool. You Got Spirit Kid, just fun, isn't it? I mean, when they released this, it was just like, yeah, this is what we're going for. Just fun tracks, and you know, this is a decent album for that. The Audience, I just don't like it. Not a fan, doesn't click, I don't like anything about it. And Piece of the Mountain, a nice ending with some acoustic Claudio again. Just brilliant. I really like this song. One of my favorites on the album. You know, it's a bit of a departure from other albums, but I just like it. I really like this album. It's a good one. Number 6 is No World for Tomorrow. This is the album that came out when I had just become a Coheed fan, and this was the latest album that came out. Blew my mind. I got to see this tour as well with Circus Survive, Fight Star, and Coheed. It was amazing. It was really, really just a great and having the backing singers, the two ladies that were singing with doing all the harmonies, were just, oh, it was amazing. One of my favorite gigs ever. You know, the production is of the time, but I just love the in-your-face attitude of it. No Josh on drums, sadly. You know, have Chris Penny standing behind the recently deceased Taylor Hawkins, rest in peace. You know, basically puppet mastering him to play because he couldn't play because I think it was some contract problem with Dillinger. But yeah, great performances on this album. The Reaping always gives me shivers when I listen to it. No World for Tomorrow, you know, just fiddly guitar with just an awesome melody over the top. It's just great. I love it. The Hound of Blood and Rank, you know, has really good verses, and the chorus you just have to be kind of in the mood for, you know, but it is not the best song. Feathers, I mean, just one of my favorite bass lines, one of my favorite performances. The last chorus with Claudio singing the, you know, wait a minute, little back porch lady, that every time it just gets me. It's a huge chorus, great melody, I love it. This is a top 10 Coheed for me. Running Free is a banger. Mother Superior is just another epic song. Gravemakers and Gunslingers, they missed it. This song needs to be in every action movie ever. John Wick, imagine John Wick fighting to this song. Wow. I wish I could have directed the video to it. This song needed a much better video than this. Justice and Murder, I really like the pre-chorus to that, but it's not the best song, but it's still decent. The Fall of House Atlantic, just filler, I guess, you know, for the album. That's why it's lower down, because I don't like this one particularly. Radio Bye Bye, I do like it, but I can see why people wouldn't like it. But I think it's underrated and it's got lots of cool parts. These three endings of The End Complete, Road and the Damned, On the Brink, just some of my favorite Coheed songs ever. Just Pink Floyd-esque, just great vocal performance from Claudio, great guitar work, it just sounds amazing. These songs are epic. The World Must Know My Story, that part, I love that, it's just so moving. It's a shame to put it so low, but it's an album I love listening to. Number 5 would be Second Stage Turbine Blade. Of course, this is the album named after the food that Claudio's dad used to eat as a child. Number 1 fan. This album is just brilliant. I mean, I listen to it a lot and it has a lot of good songs, but it does, you know, because of the production, I guess, I really feel like Claudio really excels from great production, especially vocal production, you know, all the layers and stuff. And you can't really hear it as much on this album, but it still has a charm, doesn't it? You know, it's still a charming album, and it's only low because I just prefer other performances on the other albums. You know, it starts off with the signature Second Stage Turbine Blade jingle, the running theme that they have through, which is really cool. Time Consumer, Devil in Jersey City, Everything Evil, Delirium Trigger. I mean, these 4 songs are just top tier Coheed. And this started my love of Claudio just singing people's names. That's all you need to do. Get Claudio, get a guitar, sing someone's name, it's a hit. And Devil in Jersey City, like these kind of songs, reminds me of like the fascination with like these YouTubers now who do these crime videos, you know, where, you know, the subject is so dark, but the presenter is really charismatic and you just want to keep watching them. And yeah, it's kind of like that. Heartshot, Kid, Disaster, 33, June's Home Provision, you know, really good tracks. And then some of my top tier Coheed here, which is Never Ender and God Send Conspirator. One of my favorite songs to listen to, especially God Send Conspirator. That's just a well constructed song and yeah, timeless. It's a crime to put it this low because it, you know, it could be number 1 on. Whenever I listen to this album, it's number 1. I mean, all these albums from now on, whenever I'm listening to them, they're number 1. But sadly, this is number 5. Number 4 is the Afterman Descension. Now, these 2 double albums, Descension and Ascension, I just love the production and the overall sound of them. I think they just sound top tier for me. You know, it just starts off really moody and dark, and oh, it's great. You know, Sentry the Defiant is one of the really good underrated guitar riff in this one. Doesn't have an amazing melody, but still good. The hard cells are amazing. It's like Coheed, the guys, they got given Stratocasters and just started playing them, and this is what turned out with it. I love this song. It's really, really good. Amazing solo too. Number City, easily my favorite Coheed chorus of any song ever. It's just so infectious, you know, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. When I first heard this is a song I just looped over and over and over. So good. This chorus deserves to be, you know, on any radio show. Just pips you up. Gravity's Union is really good. You know, I love the metal of it. It's very cool. Away We Go, another just cool, brilliant song. Iron Fist, you know, a cool change up. You know, I like the kind of how different there is to the other songs. Really good. Dark Side of Me, cool, nice moody song. Another one I really like. And 2 is my favorite one. Once again, Coheed cheese is the best cheese. You know, McDonald's need to add it to the list, man. They get it on those burgers. You know, people will be pumping them down. This album really flows well and tells a good story, like it's meant to. Number 3, the Afterman Ascension, a little bit better than the last one I think, but still cool albums. The Hollow, just a great opener. Domino, the Destitute, just amazing guitar playing and just great melodies all throughout. The Afterman, you know, it ain't easy being cheesy. Mothers of Men is very underrated and I was blown away by it when it pops up. Goodnight Fair Lady, another true crime Coheed song, which is just so upbeat and catchy, you know, it's fantastic. Hollywood, I understand how ridiculous this song is, but this song is just a whole build up to the point where he sings the middle A part, whereas, you know, she's a few cards short of a short that when he comes in with that part, it's just fantastic. It's just a build up for that. I love this song. Victor Butcher, I always forget about, but it's a good song. Then Evagria the Faithful, probably my #1 favorite Coheed song of all time. When I hear this, I was blown away by it. It just has a unique, like no song sounds like this I've ever heard. It's just fantastic. Subtraction is a nice ender, and you know, it's a good song, but overall it's just a really good album that I love listening to. You know, I do love Second Stage too, but of course when I hear this, I just love, you know, the better production and just the clarity of everything. It's just more to what I like. #2 is In Keeping Secrets of Silent Earth 3. Very long title, but that's how it is. Is it strange that a woman answering a phone is one of my favorite songs of all time? Peak Amory Wars on this album, and the opening track, you know, is just wow. Genuinely makes you feel like you're in space, you know, in a battle. It's a great track. Cuts Marked in the March of Men is a good track, I like it, but Three Evils is where, you know, that Coheed rhythm, that that a lot of bands, you know, tried to replicate and just couldn't, including my band in 2008. Check this out. Coheed much? The Crowing is a classic. Blood Red Summer, oh, Faint of Hearts. These 3 tracks in a row just are fantastic. You know, The Crowing's got that just unique, you know, that scream they have, you know, that Mike Toll used to do, you know. I sometimes I'd fall asleep listening to like A Favor House Atlantic, and you wake up to that, it wake you up, you know. It's fantastic, great sound. Once again, this is what I'm talking about with in the earlier albums, you know, it's okay to be like proggy and have a lot of parts, but if it's not catchy, it's just not, I'm just not into it. And all these kind of songs have just go from catchy to catchy to catchy, great melodies throughout. I don't love Back End of Forever, but it's still good. Al the Killer, you know, as a mosher type of guy, you know, I love this song and I listen to it over and over, and it's just, I love the you know, just the mix of the verses, kind of heavy, and then the beautiful chorus, and it's just brilliant song, love it. Light in the Glass is just a glorious song, you know, from the acoustic intro to the end, you know, it's just, once again, just all great parts. Ending on 21:13, you know, it's a good ender. It's not a song I love, but it's still got a lot of good parts and just good parts of Coheed and Claudio singing, and just, yeah, it's a good song. This is just a really enjoyable album, really love listening to it, but it's #2. And finally, my #1, very original, is Good Apollo 4. I'm not going to say the whole title. This album is honestly just perfection in my eyes. Nothing sounds as good as this to me. It's probably my favorite album of all time, and it's just something where I listen to one song, I just have to go to the beginning of the album and just play it all the way through. And you know, do you ever see Sopranos where Tony gets a new system, like audio system, and he's like sitting back in the chair just listening to Pink Floyd? That's me, but with this album. It's clear that the work and production and the effort that went into this album, it was just massive, and it really paid off. Keeping the Blade just, you know, kicks us off, beautiful intro. And then Always and Never, I would say, it's kind of a test for if you're gonna like Coheed or not, because if you can't get past the vocals in this one, then you're not gonna like the band. This is why I don't really recommend Coheed to people, because it really depends on the vocals. You know, if you're not into the vocals, you're never gonna be into it. I love it, and that's why this is just a really good song. Once again, another YouTube true crime kind of song once you dive into the lyrics. Welcome Home, everyone knows this, and for good reason. You know, all bands need that one song that's just overplayed and is loved by people who are just not, you know, fans of the band. You know, they just like this one song, and it's worthy of that. Genuinely great. 10 Speed of Blood, God and Burial, like, this is what I'm talking about. Just really interesting, catchy guitars with infectious melodies, and the choruses, you know, like, it's not just strumming a guitar, it's got that bounce to it that I love. Crossing the Frame, more of Claudio singing names and screaming, just love it. Then we go into the Writing Writer, which is one of my favorite guitar, like, instrumentation parts of Coheed they've ever had. You know, that main riff, you know, just 3 different parts, drums, bass, guitar, you know, just all doing different things, and then, you know, with a very good melody on top, you know, and a great chorus. I love this track. Once Upon Your Dead Body, another favorite, another YouTube true crime song, and yeah, I just love this song. It's just got such a great vibe to it, you know, and you know, when you drink My Chemical, that line, just beautifully horrible, you know, it's a great track. Wake Up, just another gorgeous song, isn't it? Another song which is going to be played at weddings in the same vein as the Police singing, what's that track called? Every Breath You Take, you know, where it's kind of a stalker song, but people think it's romantic. This is kind of like that, but still fantastic. The Suffering, you know, this is just a marvel of engineering because the amount of layers that's going on in this song and the production quality, it's great, you know. It can be a bit overplayed, but it deserves it. Lying Lies and Dirty Secrets, you know, the rhythm is back again, you know, just picks the album back up, you know. Once again, as an album, this is just a perfect album because it just brings you, it is like a movie, you know. I think it hits the right spots when it needs to. Mother May I, just another brilliant piece of music, you know, and see, this album, I love all the songs, you know. I don't care about the story or anything like that. Even if you take away the story, they're just great songs. Feel for the Feeding, you know, just another mix of great vocals and dark melodies and just, great song. You know, I really feel like I can sing this entire album off by heart. Willing Well 2, you know, you burn in hell while they're digging you out, just glorious. Willing Well 3, you know, the Telling Truth comes back to the, you know, the previous kind of track that was on there and just, you know, improves it even more with just more better parts, and yeah, I love this track. Final Cut, you know, I guess a bit of a nod to Pink Floyd as they have an album called that, and it is very Pink Floyd-esque, you know, just an epic ender, and you know, it's a bit on the nose, but I still love it. This album always gets like, you know, challenged by others, but ultimately it just, you know, they've never topped this, and it's just a fantastic album. One of my favorites of all time. You know, Coheed is a band that I really enjoy being a fan of, and I just love that they're, you know, continuing to make new music. They're not just living off this kind of music and trying to replicate it. They're always trying to do something different. You know, they're all cool guys. They got a great community, great band, and just, you know, easily my favorite band of all time. They still have lots of worth and lots of new music to come in the future, which I'm excited for. Even if I'm not as excited about the new stuff as I was before, you know, with the older stuff, you know, I'm still excited that they're making it, and there's still always good parts to find in any of their music. Great band, and let me know your opinion below. If you do think I've just spouted a bunch of nonsense and hate me, you can check out the link to my own music in the description below and just crucify me and say whatever you want. I deserve it. Alright, catch you next time.